All right, guys, good evening. Welcome into another video. Yeah, it is 9 p.m. I'm recording this. I had already done the recap and everything, but unfortunately, the audio wasn't up to speed, so it was just a blank video. And if some of you guys seen it, um, or whoever saw it, then yeah, it's just no audio. Thankfully, one of my good friends he was able to spot it, and then he let me know that there's no audio on the video. So we're gonna redo it real quick. It'll be a lot quicker. It was 20 minutes. We'll try to do it in 10 or under. Just giving a quick recap of the trades we took today, our overall like bias and what we thought was going to happen into the market. Today we were a little bit off on the bias. I did want to see these highs met on the daily. If you guys have seen the previous video, you guys know I'm a little bit more leaning towards bearishness, but I was neutral coming into the week. But I did state that if I wanted to see some move lower into all this low resistance, at least what it looks like, low resistance on the hourly, right? And then below we have our unmitigated PD array on the daily. Same thing with the ES. I actually like it a lot better on the ES. It's a lot cleaner. And then same thing for the hourly. We have a lot of these liquidities. We can either continue lower and come into this unmitigated PD array, which this would be the draw for the week, or we can either have some type of manipulation like lower, sweep out some form of sell side, and then continue higher for our news event coming up on a Wednesday. So Wednesday we do have FOMC. I won't be trading this day. So tomorrow I'm only going to be trading the AM session. And after that, I'm done until Thursday. So that being said, FOMC, I really don't trade these days ever. I don't try to trade afterwards, but if you guys are trading, typically you do want to trade this after the news release, right? Once the injection of volatility comes in and the numbers. So it looks like there's an 88 to 90% chance that they cut rates. Obviously, if they cut rates, we're going to blast higher. Hypothetically, at least that's how it works. So I do think that these highs are being engineered for the FOMC event. So tomorrow I am expecting a little bit more of a bearish day, perhaps going into these relative lows that we left here and maybe perhaps a slow here, right? Again, I want to be a little bit open-minded coming into this week to see if we're going to continue to push bullishness to all-time highs or if we're just going to be rejecting off of here, creating buy side here, and then FOMC being the news driver to take it out. Because we also have news tomorrow at 10 a.m., another red folder, and then Thursday, I believe we also have pre-market news, unemployment claims, which is another big news event. So we have a good week ahead of us. I'll go over the trades we took today, but going back to the bias that I had, I did want to see this SIBI met on NQ and these highs taken. But again, what I wasn't taking into consideration is that this week we do have that FOMC news driver. So we can leave this for a later time, right? That makes logical sense. Now, in hindsight, reviewing my day, I shouldn't have been as married as I was to these highs, right? I do think I was a little bit more married to this high and not wanting to let go of that bullish bias when I could have perhaps taken another short to the downside for sell side, previous day low or whatnot. So we'll go over that right now. But coming into the day, we did open here at market, and then we just started displacing higher, right? We do create a higher time from SMT here with ES, right here. So this high was taken on NQ. We failed to take the high on ES. So therefore, already setting up the standard for lower prices. I did not really take this in consideration. I wanted to see higher prices. And I actually did record the whole session up until like around, I want to say like, it was like at least 2 hours. And then I stopped recording because it was just way too long and I hadn't taken anything. It was like around here. I stopped recording. Yeah. So maybe like only an hour and a half. I just didn't want the video to be overly long. And I was just going to record my execution and then just do like a voiceover over it. So it would be a little bit easier to digest and people aren't skipping through the whole 3-hour video like I did last time. I think those are a little too much. There's a great information in those videos, but again, not a lot of people are going to watch the whole thing. So I'd rather give a little bit more value and create a shorter, more condensed video. So right off the bat, once we started displacing, I thought just market was going to go up to these highs and the SIBI and then not really give me any type of entry, which was fine because then I would just adjust myself to see some type of down move. I wanted to see this met first before I was bearish. So once we created relative highs, I was still bullish and I wanted to see now manipulation lower below some level of liquidity, which this right here really almost got me induced into getting into a trade. Just being honest, I saw this sweep. These lows is what I wanted to see initially. I want to see a dump lower and then move higher. And so if we go to the 1 minute, I'll show you guys where I almost got induced into this setup here, right? We have the sweep of liquidity here, and this wasn't even taking out the lows yet, but it was just right here. And then we have a displacement. I don't like how this candle wicks like this, and I don't like the next follow through candle, so that's why I didn't take this. And then I just waited on the sideline. Sure enough, that would have been stopped out. Then we have the sweep of liquidity here, right? And then we start having this displacement higher. I'm waiting to see if we can inverse this gap. We don't. We're actually supporting price lower, and then we start displacing lower. Now here we do sweep. Let me go back to the 5. It's a little easier to navigate. Right here is another opportunity to go in. I believe there was an SMT here with the S. Let me go back to the 5 on here. Right, I think ES had already swept the low, if I'm not mistaken. So we're talking about here, and ES had swept these lows right here. Okay. I try to annotate the video prior since this was going to be more of a delayed video, right? So NQ right here, right? So there wasn't an SMT, but we did sweep here. And once we swept here, I wanted to see some form of displacement. And this is what I was going to take. Once we saw the displacement here, we saw this displacement out of here. I like the fact that we inversed, but I also did not like the follow through candle here. We do come back, tap into it. If you are taking this trade, it would have gave you like a 1-to-1, I believe. And again, look at how my targets are. I wanted to see those. Yeah, so it would have gave you 1-to-1. I probably would have moved myself to break even, got stopped out break even, just being honest. So that trade would have probably failed at break even. And this is the trade I actually took. And I'll show you guys exactly why. So I really like the fact that we had already swept. And now I believe here we had an SMT. So we hadn't taken this low, but we had taken this low already on ES, which is right here, right? This low has already been taken, and we had not taken it. We had just created an SMT there. So I really like this. I really like this here. We start displacing higher, right? We're not showing any momentum downward, no displacement lower. And then we have this bullish order block. I mean, bullish, a bullish order block, and we have a bullish breaker as well. And then I really like this reaction here, that this wick. So once I see this reaction here, I go ahead and go down to the lower time frame. If there's an obvious entry for me, I will take it. My only mistake here, there's the obvious entry, right? Creating an order block inside the lower time frame, very similar structure. And I'm willing to punch it here, so I do punch it there. And then it rather quickly stops me out. So what I should have done here is wait for the next candle to see the reaction here, because this could have easily been the inducement lower, and then I would like to see this perhaps get inverse, and then I could enter there, but my stop at the low of that new swing low that was created. But obviously I didn't do that. I got the full stop out there with 4 micros, moved on to the next trade, and then this presented itself not that far off after, right? Following the same idea. As you can see, all my trades are in that direction, following that bias that I did marry a little bit. So then we have a sweep. Here, I'll show you the price on ES as well. Right here. I believe we had already swept as well, right? Right there. And then on NQ, let me see where that's at. Yep, that's far back over here. It's all the way over here. So we had an SMT there too. So everything's been supported with the SMT. That's where the idea was, structured from. And then the fact that we've came down, we pretty much souped this low, and then we had this reaction. I really, really like this. So once I see this big displacement, I'm interested in buying the first presented entry. That's obvious to me. And sure enough, we see this beautiful, beautiful setup. Now, if this would have inversed, I would have been in here with an inverse, but I did barely got in with 1 micro. I had more orders resting below, but it's really important to pay attention why this is likely to be a breakaway gap, because we have an inverse here supporting price. We also have a fair value gap here supporting price, and we have the bullish breaker supporting price as well. So just understanding all that 3 down close candles, your order block. This is a really, really nice setup. But again, I only got filled here, and I had more orders resting below here, which just became the breakaway gap, which is Logically so, it became the breakaway gap because of the other PD array supporting price to push higher. And this trade works rather quickly, right? But this is where I got a little greedy, and I wanted to, instead of, because it was only 1 micro, I didn't take any partials, and I wanted to see this full target be met. So I was aiming for the tippity top high, or I would move my stop to break even once we got above here. I actually ended up moving my stop to break even once we took these highs, and then we just kind of chopped our way up there, and then I got stop break even. Why did I move myself to break even? Because I had already taken a loss, and I was willing to let this play out. If we would have made it all the way up here, we would have made my loss and 2-3 times the amount that I lost. So that would have been nice. And then I do tape read this short. I do not take this short at all because it doesn't align with my bias. But again, this is a really, really nice short. This is exactly what I look for, but I'm not bearish bias. So that's where I kind of got a little bit of a barrier that I ran into, I guess, because I didn't adapt in time to want to switch my bias, right? And it's not necessarily the worst thing. It's just I rather keep my bias the same and just look for directions in that bias, and those would be higher probability, right? So yeah, this is a beautiful trade as well. Really textbook. Everything plays out. Stop above the high, and then it goes rather quickly. Notice that the trades that are really, really good tend to work out rather quickly. So I've taken 2 trades. Let's look at this one, right? If you're wrong rather quickly, you're wrong. Or if you're going to be in a high resistant conditions like the last trade we took here, the third one, you're going to get something like this, high resistance, and then it goes to your target, right? So then I also did not take this one, but I did tape read this trade here. And this one, or actually, no, this is a trade I took, but on ES, sorry. Yeah, because I was like, there's only 3 really that I took. So these 3. And on my top step, I haven't touched them until I got into this trade. So I did take this one on top step. This one, I did add 8 micros going into this trade, allowing me a risk, I think, of $130 or so. So it wasn't a lot of risk. And I was just targeting my 1 to 2. And this would make my loss back and some. So I was really okay with losing here. If I would have lost, I would have just been done for the day. So let's take a look at this trade, because this trade was a little diabolical and it took a lot of mental capital out. But let's take a step back and look at the 5-minute as well and see how respected the order block was. This is something I noticed, that we respected the heck out of this order block, right? Very nicely. This is what made me get into the trade. I seen the sweep of liquidity more than anything, right? Major sweep of previous day low. And then from there, we have a nice displacement, creating an order block. I really like the reaction here and how the candle just closes right at the opens at the order block and then displaces higher. This gives me the conviction to start looking for something on the lower time frames. Sure enough, a very obvious entry presents itself, which is here, right? And my stop would be at the low. We get filled in there. 4 contracts and 4 contracts, totaling of 8. And I'm just targeting these relative highs inside the 5-minute fair value gap that we've created already. So that pretty easy target. I think in a more efficient market, this would have been met rather quickly. It's a really good trade. I really like it. And then we have a little bit of consolidationary period. I believe NQ drops lower, creating an SMT here, right? And this is where it gives me a lot of hope for this trade to work out, and I really like it. It just gives me more confidence, not hope. So boom, comes down, nearly stops us out. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit like, whatever, it's gonna stop us out. And then we have this SMT that holds, right? We just got lucky there that we weren't the SMT pair. And then pay close attention to how we displace out of here. We come back to the inefficiency, and then we start coming lower. I was like, okay, this is it. We're gonna get the full stop out. It is what it is, and we move on to the next day. Then we put in another SMT where NQ takes the low, ES fails too. And then from here, I just really want to see this trade work out, because at this point, this is just mentally draining more than anything, more than just losing the money. It's just taxing on your mental. So then we displace higher. I do want to take a partial once we sweep this high. It got close enough, so I just took a partial, right? I wanted to lower my risk. And then I took another partial once we displaced lower, and then we came back again. We swept this high. I took another partial, and then I de-risked myself even more, taking one last partial right at this high. And then I was just going to let I think it was 2 micros left, just run. So then I moved my stops to break even after we had this right here, and I took my partial, and then literally right after, boom, stops me out break even. So these were my last two. These were the previous partials I had taken. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, wait, I was a little confused. But yeah, I remember this because this big candle just dumped and then it recovered, right? And then check this out. If we would have, I always leave my original stop, even though I'm already out of the trade, to see what would have happened. And then later on tape read it or journal it and then put it in the books. We come all the way down and now ES creates the SMT. So ES makes the lower low and NQ fails too. So even if I would have left my full stop out, this would have came out, stopped me out, and then would have went to my target. But something really, really important to notice. And also the reason why I moved stops to break even is because what did we have already? We already had a losing trade. Our point was to make our money back. We're pretty much break even on the day. That's fine. By the way, I've already taken all my contracts off on Top Step. I've taken 2 partials here. I only had 4 micros, not 8. So the risk is a little bit different because it's multiplied by 5 counts. So I treat it at times 5. And yeah, so that being said, I had already taken the loss here, a break even here, right? If I would have just took my 1 to 2, I would have been good. And then this would have been a really nice play, but I didn't. I wanted to let it play out. And this is what happens, right? This is the risk you accept. So I got stopped out break even. I didn't take this short because that wasn't along with my bias. This is what I was willing to take again. And of course it played out, but we would have got stopped out here if I would have left the full target, right? And notice on the 5 how this sweep, this SMT that's created here is simply just a respectiveness of this order block. We wick, candles close above, and then we displace out of here. So is there a re-entry, a possible re-entry after you've been taken out? I don't think I would have, just because of conditions that we're in. No News Monday, ahead of a big news event on Wednesday. I don't think I would have re-entered because there's nothing really clear here for me to re-enter, right? So I just want to be as honest as possible with myself. Would I have re-entered? I don't think so. I think I would have just been done for the day. I would have took my full stop out, and that would have been 2 losses and 1 break even for the day, which isn't bad. This trade, I think, could have been avoided. This is a nice trade. Even if it would have stopped out and I would have held it, it is what it is. But this one, I think, could have been a little avoided just because of not waiting for the next candle to give you that confirmation. This trade was great, perfect. I think maybe a little bit of greediness on because I only got filled in with 1 micro. And the stops were small today. So I believe this was only like $50 risk per micro. So yeah, it was a really nice trade. It gave me a nice risk reward. But again, I think I got a little greedy on this one. Good job avoiding this trade. Great. Good job avoiding this trade. Great. Not my cup of tea. But this one, beautiful. This one could have been avoided. It is what it is. But yeah, pretty much ended up break even on the day. I think down like $30. Not bad to start off the week. December price action, I guess it's good. I think it's good. I think it's fair. It's been tough for a lot of people. I think just being really patient. That's my main takeaways. Being patient and then understanding that it might take some time right now, because this price action has been having a lot of manipulation, a lot of SMTs that I've noticed. And just be patient. That's the best thing I can recommend, I guess. But yeah, other than that, we're trading tomorrow AM, and Wednesday we're taking it off. Hopefully go do something, go golf or whatever. And then Thursday we're back, and then Friday again. Friday no news as well, so deleverage, all that good stuff. So video ended up being around almost 20 minutes. So I guess we remade the video we already made. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to drop a comment or shoot me a DM on Instagram. Yeah, I'm not wearing a hat today. I just got out the shower, so I was getting ready for bed, but did want to remake this video, make sure I uploaded it, and kind of like give my 2 cents on today. So what I'm expecting for the rest of the week, I can see both sides. I can see us driving lower into all this sell side, right? Into the inefficiency here on the daily. And then I can also see us FOMC tomorrow just dropping us a little bit lower, taking some form of sell side, maybe these relative lows, and then FOMC really just pumping us up there if we do cut rates. So I don't really want to predict anything. I never like to. I like kind of just looking at price and seeing what price is offering me, and then going from there, So other than that, I really don't have anything else to add on. Good day, I would say. I did spend a little too much time on the charts today. I pretty much spent all session, AM and PM, on the charts. That's why I didn't record a full session, because it would have been way too long, from 6:30 a.m. all the way till like 12:30 or so. So yeah, it's just really nice to see, price moves beautifully. It's just little things like this are what make you blow your account or get you in that tilt mode. Remember, there's going to be more trades. Even if I had the full stop out here and I would have got stopped out here. Obviously, my risk management allows me to take some partials. That's why I do like adding more micros. And today was a low leverage day, so we did use less leverage, and we're okay being down $300 on the day on this live account, and perhaps like 150 on my top step. But luckily, we weren't. We ended up green on top step, and we ended up slightly break even down on this one. So it is what it is. We move on, and yeah, good luck and good trading to everybody that's in these markets in this condition. I'd probably be done with December in the next like week and a half or so, and then take a little break and then come back end of January or mid-January. I do still want to be doing reviews just so I don't really get any rusty or anything with my trading. So I will probably be still reviewing every day. I'll still probably be hopping on, but I'll probably be paper trading the back half of December, getting ready for the next year. So we'll see. The price action isn't bad, but you just got to be patient. I think I'm experienced enough to be able to handle this. So yeah, we'll see. But anyways, I kept yapping for another 2, 3 minutes. You guys have a great night. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.